I've been working hard at classroom management, but now my class is so structured that it almost feels boring. What do I do? Well, join us as we explore this real life question in this Teacher Talk episode. Well, welcome back to the Teach for the Heart podcast, where we tackle teaching challenges from a biblical perspective. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation, and I'm here today with our podcast manager, Julie, to talk about this important question. So here's the question that was asked to us. My classroom management has been going well lately, but it almost feels so structured that it's boring. I don't want to loosen up on standards because then I know it will escalate into poor behavior. But do you have any ideas how to engage students in class without it getting out of control? So, Julie, this is an interesting question because, first of all, kudos to this teacher. Oh my goodness, you have worked hard, you have the structure, you got things under control. So, that is fantastic. So, great start. But now she's feeling like, okay, do I have too much structure? Is it boring? What would you say to a teacher like this, Julie? I'm going to let you start this one off.
Yeah, that's amazing that, yay, you have great classroom management. That's the best way to start. I remember always being told, like, you could start off pretty, structured and strict, and then you can let loose of the reins a little bit later. It's a lot harder to do the opposite. So, great job for, getting started and having that structure. Um, and I would say, I believe she said that she was worried about loosening up the structure. I don't think that's going to be the issue. Keep your structure, keep those expectations. Your students know them, they're abiding by them. Like, keep that going. I would say maybe take some different approaches in the activities that you're doing. So, if it's just they come in, they listen to the lesson, they sit and do a worksheet, I'm so glad they're quiet and listening to you, but you can definitely try to slowly incorporate some activities that get kids up and moving, but make sure you stick to those expectations. If they go into that activity knowing exactly what your expectations are, then they'll follow them. And if they don't, just remind them and then rewind and try again. There's no harm in that for sure.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. It's a new year, and that means brand new resources from the Herzog Foundation for Christian Educators. Their full calendar of events is now live at herzogfoundation.connect.space. The Herzog Foundation Institute offers free training events designed specifically for educators like you. In partnership with organizations like Answers in Genesis and the Museum of the Bible, these trainings provide hands-on strategies, biblical resources, and practical classroom tools to help you integrate faith and learning every day. And the best part, they are completely free for you and your school or homeschool group. Whether you're looking for fresh inspiration for your classroom or professional development to grow your ministry, the Herzog Foundation is here to help. Find an event near you at herzogfoundation.connect.space. Now back to our conversation. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The key is to start with a lot of structure. And then once you've got those expectations set, you can then introduce, as you're saying, more complex activities, right? So as Julie's saying, you don't have to stay like with quote unquote boring activities the whole year. You can gradually introduce these more complex, more interesting, more engaging forms of practice or teaching or whatever it is you want to do. The key is to teach the procedure for the activity before you do it, right? So it's a turn and talk. Before you do the first one, you want to think it through and just think through, okay, how am I going to regain their attention? Well, if I haven't taught my class a call and response saying, maybe we need to practice call and response saying so that I know I can get their attention really easily because they've known this call and response. And I maybe would practice with them. Okay, let's do a turn and talk and let's do the call. I'm going to practice this. I'm going to work on this structure with them. But now I have an extra thing I can pull out and do that's more interesting. So I would start with one at a time, work on it for a week or two until you're like, okay, they've got that one. And then be like, okay, now I can pull out something else. And you can gradually add increasingly more and more complex, interesting, engaging things where you have people in groups, where you have them doing an activity like quiz trade where they're up and moving and doing all these things because you've taught the procedure. So you can loosen your expectations if you want to, as long as you know where the line is and you're still dealing with things whenever students cross the line.
And I think she's already in a good place, especially because she's already established, it sounds like, those structures and routines. So her kids should know what to expect from her in her class, no matter what activity that they're doing. And like for me, I came from a middle school background. And so I had 5 different class periods. And I knew there were some class periods that could handle certain things and others that could not. And so that's okay to alter too if you have multiple class periods. Kind of change the structure around a bit based on what you know that class can handle and still make sure they're getting that material and learning and having the best experience.
Yes, that's super important. Like Julie said, knowing your class, knowing what they can handle, and it seems like you've got a little bit of a sense for this. But yeah, like for example, if you at the beginning might have said you're never allowed to get out of your seat without raising your hand, maybe a couple months, at this point in the school year, you're realizing, you know what, I think I can allow them to go get a tissue without raising their hand. I think they can handle that. Maybe this group can't handle that. So that's where you can also kind of loosen some of that if you think it's wise. But that's where, once again, you're moving the line, but doing it intentionally, not because you're just getting lazy. That's an option too. So hopefully these ideas are helpful for those of you listening and realizing that having structure and good classroom management does not mean that you have to be boring, can never do the fun stuff. Honestly, if you've done this much work, this teacher, you should be able to do all kinds of fun stuff now. As long as you teach the procedure first, know what to expect, and are clear with your students, I think you'll be amazed at what you're able to do. Julie, any kind of final advice or thoughts for this teacher before we wrap up?
I'm just still very proud of her and very impressed by the fact that she's able to like get her kids' attention and have them focused and working during class. And so I'm excited. Hopefully she'll reach back out to us. And I like to hear like an update of what activities she's done and how that's going.
Yes, that would be absolutely amazing. So, thank you guys so much for being with us. I hope that you'll continue to follow, subscribe to the podcast so you can hear more about these. If you have a question you would like us to answer, go to teachfortheheart.com/teacher talk and you can submit your question or drop us a voicemail to have maybe your question featured on one of these future episodes. Well, this episode has been brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. All views and opinions are our own and don't necessarily reflect those of the Herzog Foundation. Thank you for being here. I look forward to being with you again soon. In the meantime, teacher, remember, God is at work in you and through you, and He's using you to make a difference. Keep your eyes on Him and teach for the heart.